Welcome back. Happy Valentine's Day. It is February 14th, 2025, another Friday. We're here again. Art and Kevin and myself. Oh, hearts. How did you do?
That's your Zoom reaction.
Wow, sweet.
Oh, it did it on its own?
No, I
Okay.
I activated it because you said the magic word. You said Happy Valentine's Day.
Oh, it's one of my most. Oh, look at that. There it goes. That's beautiful. I'm getting all misty. Let's see. Well, we had some stuff go on this week, but geez, February's halfway through, month and a half into 2025. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. Art, what is new with you? What is happening?
So far, February's been a great month. Still
Oh,
got,
really? Good for
yeah,
you.
still got a week to go.
Holy crap, really? Wow.
And sitting at about should be finish at 200% of quota.
Ah, that's excellent.
So that's good. That makes up for a crappy January.
That's what you were saying.
Plus,
Yeah.
just on track for the first 2 months of the year, even.
It's better
So,
than not. That's excellent.
yeah, quite a few orders today. Probably it'll end up being 15, 16 transactions.
Gee, good job. Wow. That's excellent. I'd love to hear that it's all because of your endeavors in AI and LLMs and all that cool stuff.
Yeah, prospecting,
All
right?
right. Good. Yeah. Well, that's cool. I did have a little bit of success this week too. Our order of bourbon landed in Taiwan. So now it's in customs and it could be there for a while. But
Really?
yeah, yeah. It's just a test order, but it got a couple shows already lined up out there. This could be big, to be honest with you. Doesn't have anything to do with copiers or even artificial intelligence, but oh well. One of those what is it? Hobbies that become obsessions and go from there. Kevin, what's new with you in the wonderful Shmee world?
Well, is there a lot of bourbon drinkers in Taiwan? I never studied that.
Funny you should ask that. Taiwan is the third largest consumer in the world of scotch. Has
Wow.
been for a long time. They were British, big time in Britain, but they love all things American and bourbon. The big companies tried to get in out there and dropped maybe 4 or 5 years ago. Big, Beam, Jack Daniels, because they try to go in with a huge, 200 people in staff, a whole new building, and they've directed their attention over to the UK and Ireland, which I don't know. I mean, bourbon in Ireland, it's Irish whiskey. I mean, that's gonna be a tough nut to crack.
Uh,
But so if we go in small compared to the big guys, we should do well. And I think it is going to do well. It's a different mentality when it comes to booze and drinking over there. It's much more like we were in the 50s, right? It is a gift. There are three martini lunches still. You are expected to, if think about Japan, are you in Japan? So
Yes.
the karaoke bars, the way they entertain is there is no line between business and entertainment. As a matter of
After
fact,
work, everybody goes out for a drink or
yeah.
a social thing after work.
Yeah, Taiwan's very gift oriented. So there's a lot of bottles that exchange, and the more unique and the more, the different, other than it better taste good, is big out there. So I arranged one of my buddies out of Wisconsin, small distillery. I mean, compared to Jack Daniels, those guys, but
yeah.
can survive on their own. But
Okay.
I loved it when we went out there when I first visited them. So anyway, so that's
There,
working out. Yeah,
there
yeah.
you go. Good. You found the product market fit, so that's a good thing. Well, it sounds like,
Yeah, we'll
it
see.
just
Unless
landed.
China invades or we tariff the hell out of them.
So
I mean,
I'm sure something will happen. And I'll give you an update in a minute, but I want to get that in there, Greg. And
thanks.
then Art, congratulations on your February. So I don't know
Thanks,
if this
buddy.
is I don't know if this is confidential, but was the percentage new machines or service contracts or consumables? What's the breakdown there?
All
That's a good
hardware,
question.
Okay.
100%, 100% hardware. I would say that I'm probably going to end up 80% existing, 20% net new.
Okay. Good.
That's the right mix.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
that's formula right there.
It's a decent mix as long as you can hit it every month.
Well, that's true about everything.
But January is a hangover time, and then March is going to be the end of the quarter. So hopefully you could, kill it and go 250% for the quarter. So there you go.
Yeah, March should, yeah, well, I'm hoping March should be good. Next week, I'm in Atlantic City all week for a surveyor engineering show, and hope to pick up some additional leads there. And last year we ended up picking up two orders at the show. So
Okay,
I can only hope this year is going to be just as good.
good. Okay, I got some topics for you, but as far as so I went to an out in San Jose, California here. They had the AI Dev World at the Santa Clara Convention Center, and I went there on Wednesday, and it was the whole week. So they have
Ooh,
developers and conference, but it's AI, right? So
right.
past couple of years I've been going, and every year there's a theme. There was blockchain and AI a couple years ago, and then there was generative AI all last year. And really, I was kind of not expecting much, but it was a free expo pass, and so I was going to go and just see
Cool.
what's going on. So that was my expectations. But I'm telling you, I was pleasantly surprised, and I blogged about it. So I think there was a blog out yesterday on my LinkedIn, if anybody wants to. But I was pleasantly surprised, and I'll tie this into our industry and MFPs and scanners, and the value of that is that. So I go to the booth, and in their zest to sell me something, right? They're selling me for 10 minutes, their product pitch before they ask me a single question. That's fine.
Right.
They're energetic, young and up and coming companies, and they got AI algorithms and AI, and they're using all the GPTs and all this kind of stuff. So, but what I found, Greg and Art, was I found that these people are dying for data, right? They're the AI engines, and they have some kind of like a little simple application. It's just talk to the application, but it's a result of data, right? So
Mhm.
so I'm talking to them, and then I see upload document on one of their interfaces. And I'm like, what the hell has documents got to do with this? Because I'm thinking, they get from databases and they get, sophisticated feeds. But
Right.
even in that world, it's very sophisticated. And data scientists, they have degrees from everywhere, and they probably, have $300,000 jobs, right? They need the data, and they are figuring out that, what? When you go into an organization, they're talking about small LLMs, not LLMs. They're talking about your own data, and they've figured it out. Even our industry kind of is still trying to figure out a use case. But it was very, very refreshing to hear this, because guess what? The way that you can create the biggest, the most variety data set for your SLLM, and then they were talking about even edge computing and shrinking this down onto a chip, like we've talked about in past episodes on the show, right? So they were talking about putting intelligence and small LLMs on these machines and making them
Mhm.
intelligent. It was so refreshing to hear that. So I just spent one day there, but if I spent the whole time, and like if our industry engages in those kind of conversations with new kinds of ISVs and new kinds of integrators and new kinds of use cases, then it revitalizes our whole industry.
Absolutely.
And what they say, rising tide raises all boats, right?
It will. Yep. Yep. Wow.
So
Wow.
it's super exciting, yeah. So I'm like, I went from very low expectations to this is really, and then I floated that, like I said, I floated that on LinkedIn, and a lot of industry professionals who have been around a long time. They're like, there's a new use case for IDP. There's a new use case for capture. It's the same thing we're doing. The image goes through a machine, it goes through an OCR, computer vision, it creates the metadata basically.
Yep.
Then you do something with it. So that's the whole point. What we know very well is what these people need. So that's the moral of the story. It's very
Wow.
energizing.
Well, that's great. Well, I'm really glad you brought that up because you're right. I mean, it it's I don't like to call them small LLMs, but it's the personal LLMs,
Yep.
right? The AI that's going to, because what they're using the big data for is to train their algorithms. So if you can get, like OpenAI or Gemini or any of these guys, they're using big data. What it's really doing is creating the algorithms, the quote unquote thought process. And you even see that with DeepSeek, right? They ripped off OpenAI, just out and out stole it. And whatever. I mean, it's open. So I don't know how you can steal something that was conceivably for free at one point. So um but what you really hit, and I'm really glad, that's really glad you brought that up, because all AI is going to be personal AI one
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
It just is. All right. And
Yeah.
it will be burnt on a chip. And and I think Apple is probably going to have something coming out with that. But in the business world, if you are any of our dealerships, right? Or like your dealership, are you don't
Yeah,
give a crap what Dex or Pacific Office or those, POA, the quote mega dealers data per se, right? You're more concerned, obviously competitively maybe, but you want to know what's going on in your data set, right? So,
absolutely.
and everyone's worried about security. And I've been saying that's not that big of a deal. Nobody cares anyway. But if we isolate it and just here's your AI, there's your data. It's all under one roof. It's not up in the cloud because of edge, right? Maybe the data stays here in whatever. But
Yeah.
that's where the future is going to be, a personalized AI. It is going to be,
It
and it's going to come down to us individually.
It is, and if I had to pick a theme just in a word or two, is the agents, right? So everybody's
Yep.
creating AI agents, and the agent is your digital twin, like we've talked about before, right?
Yep.
So you got to make a digital twin of you or this agent or this profile, and that's what everybody wants to do, and they need data to do that. So it's really cool.
It's really cool. And it's already there. You've got in OpenAI ChatGPT, the payable, you can sequester off your data. You
Hmm.
can keep all of your conversations and your data on your stuff, and it doesn't go anywhere. OpenAI still uses the thinking process that it learned from the big, huge data set, but it doesn't ship your data off anywhere. Keeps it right there. So, I mean, it's going to get a much better and easier and cleaner and highly more integrated, but it's already there right now. But that I'm really glad you brought that up. That's perfect. And you're right for our industry, and it goes into scanning, right? And I've got a big thing about scanning. But yeah, it's still going to be all that data that's on paper that you want to get in or
Scan,
document,
scanning, printing, any kind of activity. Yeah, it's another. I saw a nice graphic on LinkedIn today about AI, agent AIs, and they had a consumption. They call it observe, right? So the observe point, then the kind of refine and whatnot. There's a whole process, but and then they use a picture of a sensor, and that was what the way you described it before, Greg, is that there's all these sensors collecting data. Tesla was there with their cars and they got sensors all over the place, right? So it's all about, but even Tesla is like, hey, I read something that you got 3,000 sensors in your truck. And then the first thing he said was, yeah, but there's no external sensors. So even those Tesla vehicles, they got a lot of sensors, but they want to keep the data self-contained in that little ecosystem, right?
yeah, that's and talk about that, and we're into AI, but Grok, the Musk one, um, you don't hear much about. It's going to come out. It's going to be bigger than anything else because of the Twitter database that it has for decades, and the fact that Elon's got 1 million GPUs.
Well,
That's huge. It's like, oh, okay. So he hasn't, next few months before the end of the year, that'll be out. But anyway, wow, that's cool. That's very cool.
There was a recent article in this month's BTA.
Hmm.
I believe the dealership is out of Las Vegas, AIS, who actually wrote a pretty long article about um, how they're using AI in their dealership. And I think if other dealers get to that article, they can figure out a lot of ways that they can use AI and benefit from AI with their dealership. What was unique, though, it touched every department of the dealership
Hmm.
except salespeople.
Yeah, interesting.
So it had marketing, it had service, right? It had HR, AP, AR, but there was no mention about salespeople,
Okay, well, that's interesting.
which I found that quite interesting since I've been using AI for my efforts we've talked about this before, the last 8 to 12 months.
Right. That is interesting, and it's usually the other way around, marketing and sales, and maybe HR, but it usually stops right there.
but who made the decision on getting that technology? Maybe it was the salesperson. They want to either not replace themselves or they they don't know how to use it for their own benefit, right? They see,
Yeah.
hey, if I can use AI to do more marketing, I get leads for my sales. I don't know, decision. These are always driven by
Right.
decision makers for some reason. So
Yeah, I know that
So
AIS was a top down. I remember talking to him a year ago.
So this is more about salespeople using AI.
Right.
The marketing is using AI, but it made no mention of salespeople
Mm,
actually using AI. And I think that's one of the next big steps that dealers can take advantage of.
sure.
I think we can talk about that for days, but yeah, I believe absolutely. Interesting. Um, well, moving on a little bit scanning. So, have you guys ever heard of Iron Mountain?
Yes,
That's funny. I was going to bring
of
that up. Yeah.
course.
Yeah.
Of course. Now it's getting, every time it's on the news and you see the big tunnel with Iron Mountain over to go, oh my God. I mean, we all knew about this, right? It was there. I knew there was this mountain somewhere with all the documents in it, but I didn't think it was gonna like show up on Fox News and
Oh,
CNN
you're
and
talking about
BBC.
the feds with
Yeah,
yeah,
It's
yeah.
the retirement. I mean, Musk talked about it in the Oval Office, and I'm thinking, oh my God, this is exactly what we've been dealing with for 2 decades,
yeah.
right? And Musk is going, it takes 6 months to retire because the paperwork, what? And, well, and he's thinking, obviously, these should all be scanned in. And I saw a conversation where he asked the people, well, where are you guys at with that project? And the guy said, B. He goes, B, what do you mean? Would you give yourself a B? What do you mean? No, we're on the letter B.
Oh my God. So let's see. There's 26 letters in the alphabet, so they're like one, not even at 10% there, not even 5%.
They're not doing it. I mean,
So how long has that facility been in place?
a long time. I
They
mean, that,
20 years, 30
yeah.
years?
they said it was established in 1955. They bought it from
Oh crap.
a
So
steel company, but the OPM, Office of Personnel Management, I think they've been using it since like the 70s. Not that whole time, I don't think.
it's gonna take another 50 years to get to sea.
Yeah, probably.
Well, that was what Musk was saying, and he goes, "So what did he say? It was so." I'm listening. He goes, "Well, so you've got people," and he says it takes 6 months to retire because the paperwork,
Yeah.
because they have to do all this stuff, and that's how it went down. And he goes, and then they put it in a mine shaft.
Yeah.
I go, yeah.
The way he was describing it, they ship it down at like a elevator, and once it gets down there, and this is how fast they could process it. It gets down there, and he says the elevator breaks once in a while, so then they can't process it. And then they were claiming they could do 10,000 retirees a month. Turns out it was like even less than that. It's like
Oh God,
7,200. So
yeah.
it's terrible because the retirees are waiting for the paperwork to get processed, right? And this is nothing against Iron Mountain people. They're just like there's
Oh no,
700
that's the
700.
shame. Yeah.
I mean, they provided. You look at the video of that; they have their own water supply down
But
there,
it was
and it's beautiful, right?
Fox did that. Fox ran the whole Iron Mountain promo.
Yeah,
and and said and was picking at it, right? So
yeah,
look, they've got their own lake. I go, yeah, it keeps the temperature,
yeah.
the whole time I'm thinking, well, we could put wine or you could put bourbon down there too.
It's
But
climate controlled, it's secure, and but it's just our government continues to use services like that when even Iron Mountain offers scanning services, and they have for a long time.
yep.
And then this is the worst thing is that back in the 19 about I think it was 1985 they supposedly tried a digitization project, and they spent some reports say 100 million, others say 130 million, but they gave up on it. So, and maybe it was because the technology wasn't ready back in 1985. I don't know, right? Whatever happened. But the point is, there's no excuse not to digitize that right now. I mean, there's reasons for it because 700 people, got to find something to do, but they could do something more productive, right? And they probably want to do something more productive. But it was just a sad thing to see overall is that
It
the
was sad.
retirees, the cost that they're spending on this, and they said even those jobs at 50,000 a person, which is probably pretty low with burden and everything, times 700, the cost of labor plus the cost of to store the documents, to retrieve the documents when they need them. So there's a lot of money spent on that.
Can you imagine retrieving the
Yeah.
document?
They're pretty efficient, but that's where they charge a lot of money because the physical storage, they've got a lot of space, right?
Right.
But in fact, we did that for one of our customers is that they had offsite box storage, and we just said, that
Iron
cost that you'd
Mountain
spend
it.
on them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. But again, our little niche rears its up, well, gets a shade on it through that. But it's like everyone in the industry is going, yeah, that could have been done 30 years ago, 20 years ago, 15 years ago, 10. It could have been done.
yeah,
Could
Yep.
have been done. I mean, and then as far as I'm concerned, and I've been saying this for a long time, it's like this just is another display of not totally effed up processes and bureaucracies, right? I mean, we're in the private sector. We see it all the time in business. And I've walked out of buildings going, how the hell did they get anything done in there? There's like 6 people doing the same thing, and neither one of them know that they're all doing the same thing. That's happens all the time in corporate. But for the government, wow. And you know, here it is, politics in our little niche. We're right there. We're right in the freaking middle. I
And
love it.
they'll find a lot more of those too.
Oh,
That was one example, one department, one use case, one location. There's a lot
Probably,
more of that.
yeah, it's probably all over the place.
it's an Indiana Jones warehouse. That's what it is. It's going to be something like that. It's just going to be nuts. But yeah, wow.
But but I'll also say this is that, a lot of people think it's simple to digitize and index your stuff, and it's still challenging. But when I was hearing they had a hearing, I think it was yesterday or the day before, so Congress was doing all this. But what I was hearing was that it's the identity and the fraud that's the big problem in
Oh yeah.
spending right now.
Oh yeah.
PPP and Freddie Mac was or Fannie Mae was out today, and they had a $726 million write-off because of fraud, and they just
Yep.
can't detect it because people aren't proving their identities, and their systems are so outdated from a security standpoint that you got to solve that problem before you can actually do much more. So I'm reading some agencies have increased their budget for better identity management and control over authenticating the person is who they say they are instead of and just get rid of fraud and Medicare, Medicaid, and other processes. So
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, you're right. I mean,
How
this
about
is all symptoms, and I'm being nice when I say they're clogged and mismanaged business processes. It's
yeah.
it's corrupt, and those folks don't want it to be streamlined,
Mhm.
yeah,
right? I mean,
especially the 150-year-old people that are receiving Social Security benefits?
and yeah,
They love
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
150 year.
That was some of them, Greg. That was
Yeah,
he's
I know.
obviously
I
he's
saw. It's like,
really
are you? Wait,
yeah.
okay, that doesn't sound right. I mean, it's so funny. Is we've all, well, maybe we haven't, but a lot of us have had these conversations over the last 5 or 10 years, just saying, "Did you hear this latest one about so and so and so and so?" And yeah, someone was cashing checks for 50 years, and the person
Yeah.
was dead in the apartment. That's a one-off, right?
Yeah.
Or everyone's got a story about how they interface with the government, and it's
Yeah.
just jacked up. It's like, are you kidding me?
It,
And we just accept it.
And a lot of that fraud is even international fraud, which is even worse because our taxpaying money is going to go to international fraudsters, right? So it doesn't even help the people that are cheating in America. So it's just like
It's
duplicates.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's a big long. Oh gosh, don't you now? You got me going. I mean, the whole Ukraine thing. You can see the circular money.
Yeah,
There's, you probably saw it. We paid the Taliban 400 million or whatever. I don't even know what it is. We shouldn't pay them a dime, but it's in the millions that went right to the Taliban. It's like you're not even hiding it. No, it went right
yeah,
there.
yeah.
But well, anyway.
Hey, so we've got a little bit of news for this week, and
Yeah.
I think
Oh,
one of them is going to resonate pretty well with all of us. But the first one is the news that Oki actually joined at
how do you pronounce it?
Atria.
Okay.
Atria. So Atria is the um, combination of Ricoh and Toshiba
Hmm.
tech for um, getting new style, I guess, MFPs into the market. Excuse me. And now Oki has joined that joint group. Still trying to figure out. I mean, Oki is out of the U.S. marketplace, but they're still in the global marketplace.
Well, and it's only 5% in. They're 5% in, whatever that. I don't know what that means. That was just what it was reported, right? You've got Oki. I'm sorry. You've got Ricoh and Toshiba are the two biggies, and then
Right.
other than that, I remember when they started at Tria or whatever. Saying, okay, cool. They're just how the Japanese get together. No one fails. They all lift each other, or whatever. They coagulate. So I don't know really what the purpose of that organization is, or what the goals and the mission statement. I have no clue. So I don't know if that's I don't see how that. I don't know yet. That's all. Just ignorant. Do you
Right.
guys
So
know? Do you guys know?
everybody's they've all got their own print engines, right? Toshiba has their own print engine.
Totally
Oki has
different.
their own
Yeah.
print engine. Ricoh has their own print engine. Unless they're just going to get to one print engine for all the devices. But something I picked up that was unique is Oki has a line of LED color label printers. To
Yeah,
me,
true.
the
Yeah.
next great, how can I say, migration to print is LED machines that can print color label printers. So maybe that's something on the horizon.
Yeah, I don't know. I remember it being an economic or financial decision of some sort. There was some money involved, although I don't remember if that's a marketing budget or what, or code. I think there is some co-research and development in there, brain trust
Yes, it
sharing
is.
back and forth. Um, I don't know about a go-to-market strategy or anything like that, but it's kind of, I don't know what it is, to be honest with you. I don't know. It's just
I guess time will tell, right?
yeah, just like it's not a merger, it's not a takeover, it's not a
Right.
financial, no one's acquiring another company, but from
So
what I can tell.
this is a good one for Kevin. So new Ricoh MFPs were launched in Japan that now incorporates all what we've all been talking about, PFU technology for scanning.
That's great. Yeah, because PFU was number one. They were kind of the hidden gem behind the Fujitsu brand.
Right.
The people, if you turn around the scanner, the label will say PFU Limited. So they make the Scan Snap and the Fujitsu FI series for a long time. It wasn't secret, but it was just like they weren't on the front of the label. And then they were acquired by Ricoh, just for anybody that didn't know, about 2 years ago, I guess. But yeah, that's good because PFU makes really quality stuff. I know for sure, right? So, and they make great image processing stuff. So maybe the copy machines have always had this, not just Ricoh copy machines, but the copy machine industry has always had this. Well, we don't have good image processing like auto size detection and color detection, and always the dedicated scanner manufacturers had VRS or this, and PFU invented PaperStream IP, which is image processing. It's a really high quality image processing stuff because dedicated scanners have always been used for like mission critical use cases, right? Where OCR
Hmm.
quality is very, very important. So that is a natural thing, Art, to see the
Right.
quality of the scanning software get on the copy machines, and that's the best of both worlds. In fact, I've seen PFU hardware even on top of some of the MFPs. They took one of their big um, production systems that had a straight paper path because again, that's another like thing that the copy machines we always criticize them because we said they had this circular paper path and the paper was always getting stuck. So
Right.
PFU put one of their big scanners on top of a copy machine so you have a straight paper path. So you could scan really thick stuff, really thin stuff, and the paper it barely, never ever has a paper jam. So you get the benefits of good paper handling, good image quality, but you get the benefits of being able to print too. So that's the best of
Wow.
both worlds. Yeah, and I see that they have new version of the. This is an advertiser for PFU, but you know,
It's
um,
okay. No, yeah.
but they also introduced a new version of their central administration server software, which is their
I saw that.
centralized, and it's got some nice metrics and it's also got like SNMP integration, so it can fit into the overall network ecosystem. So you could see the influence of what Ricoh was really good at networking and what PFU was good at scanning. You see them coming together, and that's nice to see because they make a quality product because
Hmm.
each perspective, even though they could still scan and print, they could have the best of breeds, and you could see the result of that now, even though the acquisition was just maybe like 2 years ago. So that's pretty good
Do
instead of other acquisitions that never do work out, right?
you think the addition of that PFU technology can increase IDP with the office equipment dealers, where IDP has kind of been, I know where I work, it's kind of, I mean, I'm working on one content deal. I mean, could that increase to
I
more opportunities?
I do think so. And PFU just also had a recent announcement about their it's called PaperStream Capture Pro software.
I read that.
Yeah.
It's an IDP software, so they could do this stuff. And because, like I said, like the dedicated single function scanners were always like for document processing, right? So it wasn't that you were scanning your, a document that didn't need high quality images. So because of that, their scanners were used by not only themselves, who they've created their own software, but a lot of the key IDP ISVs, and they were the number one manufacturer not only because they had good quality hardware, but because the integration with IDP and OCR and data capture software companies like Kofax and Abby and Artzel, and all those companies, they had that. Companies love them because of that. So they know that ecosystem very well. They are integrated with that ecosystem. So having that software on the Ricoh devices moving forward, you've got that nice integration. You've got they know the dealers that understand how to sell data capture and IDP solutions. So I think it's going to be a good thing for our industry overall, right? For their products, for their particular reseller channels, but I
I
think
agree.
for everybody because we should use those machines for IDP more, right? They shouldn't be just general purpose, scan to an archive.
What
Scan
was
a folder, scan the
yeah.
email, and that's it.
What's IDP mean again?
Uh,
Intelligent document processing.
yep.
Very good. Okay.
That's the new, I guess the latest buzzword.
Yeah, here you go, Art. It's
The
so
other one was digital transformation,
it's been called automatic
document
document
management.
processing. It's called forms process. It's been called, but basically, Greg, in the old days, we can only capture 20% of the stuff that was structured, like zonal OCR
Yeah.
or semi-structured
Okay.
invoices.
Okay.
But IDP is intelligent, so the unstructured like contracts, agreements, we could do that stuff with generative AI now, and you could read documents with computer vision. So it's not just zonal OCR anymore. So it's like that next level of
Okay.
capturing the 80%.
Okay.
Right. I wish I could read more about the launch. Um, but it's on the Japanese website, and translation sometimes isn't that good with what do I got to use? I got to use Chrome or something like that. But I
There's
like to
this new
dig in a
thing
little bit
called
more to
Chat
it.
GPT.
Yeah.
Do you think so?
I know so.
So could I download the document and put it in Chat GBT and get a better translation off of than
Yeah.
Chrome?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. I've been doing it with whatever they speak in Pakistan. I forget. No slur. I just don't remember. It's not Pakistani. It's something. I made the mistake. But yeah, and you can do it so quick that you can do an IM and text. Communicate with people in there. So oh wow. I'll bet you can even yes, you can do it with voice. I'll bet.
I'm going to give it a shot
Yeah.
while we're talking. The other interesting thing from late last week was a large mega dealer actually bought an AI company,
All right.
Atlantic Tomorrow, which
Yeah, out of
is,
New York. Yeah.
yes, and it's the first I've seen that happen in our industry.
Well, I've known other dealerships to buy whatever MSPs. They're usually smaller MSPs, 5, 10 guys. But I don't know the details of that one. Art, what do you know about it? Is it a bigger ISP or I'm sorry, MSP? Wait a minute. It's an IT
Um,
solutions provider,
I
right?
don't know the revenue.
Okay.
The company's called BrainCell.
Oh yeah, that's okay.
Um, Known for their deep technology expertise, advanced data and AI capabilities, and process automation. BrainCell will operate as a division of Atlantic, offering end-to-end business software and digital transformation solutions.
All right. That
So
sounds
again, it's a
I like it. I mean,
Yeah.
gosh, I was just looking at some old content I had generated a long time ago about the VARs and the MSPs coming into our industry. It never really happened, right? It never, they never did. And so us going into their side looks like it's I'll go back to Impact, right? Impact claims that over 50% of their revenue now is managed IT services. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what they claim. And that they're not as big as Pacific or Dex, but they're big. Out of Chicago and they hit the West Coast. I think they're even down in somewhere else. But it's very interesting. So let's see, PFU, scanners, Oki. Hiring I'm still seeing more people hiring, which or at least advertising to hire new reps, and even seeing new reps pop up on LinkedIn.
Correct.
And by new, I mean squeaky clean new. These and they know social, so they're hired on Wednesday and they're online on Friday.
So do they, as long as they know social, do they know enough about AI yet?
Well, I don't know. I would guess that they don't. Yes, they do, and they don't even think about it. So yeah, I used to use Google. Now I use this. That's that's an interesting thing to hear. More and more people doing searches through these LLMs than Googleizing it,
Yeah.
and that has ramifications for that industry that go way beyond what we're talking. I mean,
It's funny, Greg, because we used to use the term copy. We'll go copy, then we use Xerox, right? So
yeah,
Xerox became a verb, and then we did search, and then we
we
Googled.
we
It
Googleized it. Yeah,
became a verb. So AI is eventually we're gonna, instead of using AI, we're gonna use ChatGPT. It's gonna be a verb, right? Or something like that. I
yeah,
don't know what is.
yeah, and it's yeah, and it so the company Xerox didn't. There's no way they planned for that to happen. Same
No.
with Kleenex, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Kleenex.
Yeah.
So it has to be you have to look for the next one. Those are two good
Yeah.
examples, though.
Those are
Xerox,
good brands. Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah,
Huh.
bear with me. I'm still trying to get this up on,
You're really gonna do the Japanese or
yeah, I'm gonna give
all
it a
right,
whirl.
cool. Go for it. All right. Let's see. Hiring folks. What else? Boy. Um, well, it's all AI. I've still got a bunch of AI stuff. I mean, I think I was on a show this morning. We're talking about artificial intelligence and LLMs and the percentage of people. I think it was one of the big companies came out with a study where they studied what people are actually using, usage of LLMs. The Anthropic, those guys came out. I haven't read it yet, but I've only heard a bunch of people say that, the engagement is more on the programming and, the techie kind of stuff, which I don't want to ever program again, so I'm not going to look at it that way. But the actual engagement rate is still pretty freaking low.
Yeah. I'd agree, Greg. Is that like, and that, when I went to that show, like I said at the beginning, like I was like,
Yeah,
I don't want to hear people saying, "Oh, we're completely totally automated, and we're this, and we've got so many customers," and that's what I've been hearing years and for the years. And I'm like, I don't think so, but I don't know, right? So
right.
at this show, I finally heard everybody's at the beginning stage. They're either researching it, want to do it, but nobody's figured it out. Nobody has the perfect use case yet. It's just too early, right? So that was refreshing because yeah, if you look at the numbers, and I've seen all kinds of like people researching, a lot of people are looking into it. A lot of people have started projects, but have you fully implemented AI or got all the benefits of AI? Nobody's there yet, I don't think, right?
Nobody is there. And I was engaging with someone earlier today, exactly same conversation, and it's at the enterprise level,
Yeah,
or even the big, not even enterprise. You look at not SMB, 500, 800, 1100, maybe 5,000 employees in that range, and
yeah.
then above, they can't figure it out because
Hmm.
they're looking for a revenue generating, how if I engage in AI, how is that going to increase my revenue?
Yep.
Well, it isn't.
Yeah.
Okay. Then it's going to reduce my costs. How's it going to do that? Well, then it gets really hairy. But the discussion I had, and this is my belief and projection was this is like, listen, this isn't like a cloud project or a IT inventory control project or even a sales management project or an HR. You can't. Then that's the problem. You can't look at it through silos.
Yeah.
Okay. But then you say, well, yeah, AI is everything. Oh, gee whiz. How are we going to handle that? And there's no existing prototype model for bigger organizations to engage in anything at that level because HR department is getting a new system. Okay, we can handle that. We know what they need. Back in the old days, well, we're going to bring payroll in house or ship it out house. Okay, we're going to payroll. All right. Manufacturing, we're going to go from this type of MRP1 to MRP2. Okay, manufacturing, handle that. We're thinking about bringing robots to the floor. See how it's all siloed? It's separate
I
IT
like robots.
projects. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you look at AI and it's like, okay, you can do emails, you can do this, you can analyze data, you can take the, it goes everywhere. And if you try, well, we'll implement it first here, and that's where it falls down. It's like,
Yeah.
but I don't know what the answer is. That's the other thing. It's
Yeah.
like nobody knows. Like, how do we
It's
do
a,
this?
it's the same old story, right? Imaging used to be enterprise content management, but it became very departmental. Like you said, HR, accounting, whatever, shipping, receiving, right? So then it became departmentalized, and it's not the enterprise. So does AI become it's the thing of the day, yes, it's got to have it, yeah, but does it become a feature of a software package, right? At some point, just makes it easier to interface, maybe. And it's not this mission critical, and people just continue to do things and use an upgraded Iron Mountain version, right? So
Yeah.
is it going to be the thing? But I've seen hypes. I've seen the cloud and blockchain and .coms. I've seen them come and go, and they all have their place still to this day. But is it the thing? And AI does not feel like a fad. It feels like it's here to stay.
It's the thing.
Yeah,
It
It
because
is.
just what I just said, it crosses all
yeah,
the silos and
yeah,
crushes every hierarchy.
yeah,
And do you want to look at the VCs and the smaller firms that are coming out of San Francisco and the West Coast, those venture capitalists
yeah,
who and we've talked about this, who would you could gauge your company, your new company value by how many people your head count, right?
yeah,
But you will hear time and time again by these investors, I'm doing with 10 people what I could do with 100 a year ago. All right. So you
Right.
take that, and that's where the big companies are having challenges because it
yeah,
isn't a technical situation. It's a political, it's like, really? We don't need a C-suite? Okay. That's the shift that we're looking at. And that will not go easily. And I don't even think it can. It's going to take smaller companies, the VCs coming out of nowhere, coming out of the wild, that start off as 10 employees and reach the same revenue levels as the bigger companies. That's going to happen. But anyway, so
Interesting.
yeah, what do you got,
But
Art?
well, you mentioned silos, so I had to chime in that season 3 and 4
Oh
is
yeah.
going to be for Silo. They've signed, so that's pretty cool,
Well, it is. You know,
right?
I'm glad you brought that up. I watched the whole thing, right? But I'm still like, well, okay. I'm going to watch the next season, absolutely. So they've got a viewer, but I'm not sure where I don't feel the value yet, right? I mean, I'm in, but I don't get it.
Well, they put that little teaser there going back like to what, 2000, the year 2000, where there's congressmen and somebody, a gal meeting before they had that nuclear holocaust.
Oh.
So I think the story's going to turn a little bit.
Well, I mean, it's got great potential. I love the premise. I like the idea. And I got to remember that there are generations that don't remember or have never seen other type of movies like this. I mean, this is like Andromeda Strain or not Andromeda, Omega Man, all those
Yes,
kinds of movies.
yes. How
But
about Soylent Green?
Soylent Green, Charlton Heston did that.
Yeah,
Soylent Green is a great one. I was like, wow,
yeah.
wow. um, Well, if you want to talk about movies, and I love it because there's no barrier between sci-fi and real fi or real sci. Oh, there's no barrier between sci-fi and real sci. It seems it's like everything is 2001. All the concepts that were in that movie of science fiction are living out today. It's just
Absolutely.
weird. It's
Yep.
freaky. Um,
Hey, so
I
I was able to translate this document.
oh, you did. How did it?
wow.
Yeah, I downloaded a brochure, translated it, and this is pretty interesting on advanced scanning and AI capabilities.
Oh, really? Do
Yeah.
tell.
So AI powered image correction, which I know Kevin and I and you, we've been speaking about the need for that.
It's great.
Basically, it says automatically corrects document orientation. I don't know what else it does. If it's going to do, you
Well,
know,
that
it's going to do the deskew. Will it do the despeckle? Will it make recommendations on, how you should scan that document? Will it automatically scan it to a perfect document?
Wow. I was just thinking, I don't know if you guys have seen what's being done now with old pictures, like they take a still of Einstein and then all of a sudden he's talking to you off of
Yeah.
that
Wow.
still.
Oh my God. Wow.
I, so if you take that technology and apply it to a document, if it's an invoice, if you can make Einstein talk, you can make the invoice perfect.
Yeah, I'll give you an example of that. It's called AIQC. And
Okay.
instead of like if you scan a document and it's got the dog-eared and it's obstructing the information in the top right,
Okay. Okay.
it can't magically figure it out, but it could colorize it, it can fill in that space with reasonably well. So you don't have to go and rescan that image. So it saves a
Mm.
lot of time in the workflow. So it could do things like that. It could improve the image quality dynamically instead of go change the resolution, change it from color to grayscale or whatever. So AIQC is
Wow.
after scanning adjustments, and it can make your workflow a little bit better. So that's one of the
Well,
examples of better image quality. Yep.
I mean, from what I'm used to using, just even my little chat GPT is it will predict or make assumptions on data that isn't there and make a prediction as what that data would look like.
Hey, there you go. That's amazing.
Yeah. Now, and if it's wrong, right, you retrain it and it'll learn.
Yeah.
Wow.
I can get smarter. Yeah. What
Wow.
else, Art?
I was just seeing if there was any additional, put another prompt in AI, just seeing if it came out with
Yeah, Art, I'm
anything
sorry.
else.
Was that the Ricoh PFU thing or what was that?
Yeah, yeah, that was a Ricoh new MFPs in Japan that incorporate PFU technology. It
Yeah.
goes on to say AI powered OCR, um, works with AI based automation tools.
AI based.
Question becomes, what is that?
What does that mean?
Supports one-touch workflows. We've always had one-touch workflows in the MFPs. If anybody just delved deeper into the machine, the machine could create, take that document and send it to maybe email, fax, folder, different locations
Based on the
on the
document, right?
server. No,
Based on the
no, no.
document. No.
Basically, you could set up a one-button workflow. And
Right.
in the background, you would say, fax this to John, fax it to Cindy, scan it to Kurt's email address, put it on these three different folders on the server, and
Omni-channel. Yeah.
OCR it. And that could be done as a one button touch workflow.
So, Kevin, you kind of you mentioned Edge, I think from the show, and I saw something come across that gosh, I shouldn't even bring it up because I don't have the source, but one of the AI companies is working with ARM.
Yeah.
So, and in ARM, I guess, and tell me if I'm wrong, is the low energy chip, right? It's in the phones and everything. So the big thing about ARM is it doesn't need a lot of energy to process. Is that
That's
correct?
that's
Okay.
right. Intel was always the chip manufacturer that everybody used, back in the day, but 20, 30 years ago. But then ARM came along and they were low power chips, so people started using ARM chips instead of Intel. And then Intel kind of went, still a thing, but now there's even RISC-V processors, and there's still you have to buy the silicon, but it's a chip. And RISC-V, the beauty of it is that you could program these. It's an open source programming language for those chips.
So that's
So
a RISC-V ARM chip?
no, it's RISC-V. RISC-V is the
Okay.
programming. Let's call it ISA. I forget what its acronyms for, but you could.
Reduced instruction set
Uh,
computing.
yeah, yeah. There you go. Yeah, see, Risk. So you went from Intel, ARM. Now people want to do
I
it your
see.
own, roll your own open source kind of processors.
Oh,
So that's what I saw at the show. I saw optimizing GPU resources and optimizing the data center resources and edge computing programming chips. And that's a lot of them we're talking about RISC-V, ARM, and
okay.
still Intel. But utilizing that resource on a CPU or GPU is really important to these people. It was good to hear that too, because as you're developing new applications and deploying them, people are quickly learning that you can't keep building data centers like crazy. On the way to the show, I live in San Jose and it was in Santa Clara, so it's about a 10-mile drive. And I hadn't been down there for a couple months.
I didn't know you
Just
were
in a
out there.
just in a couple months, they're building gigantic data centers all on the freeway. I'm like, guys, these are gigantic
They're
buildings.
huge, from what I understand. Yeah.
And right next to them, there's no windows, but right next to them is gigantic football field of where the energy like
The
battery
solar.
is going to go.
Oh,
So it's just, and
wow.
one of my guys that knows he says there's like 2 kilowatts just to power that one. And apparently each kilowatt's like a gigantic amount
Yeah,
of
that's
energy.
not that's nuclear reactor. I think. Well, okay. Wow. So this is all great and stuff, but how is this going to impact the Joe six pack selling copiers or the Jane copier salesperson? What's this going to boil down to office technology?
Here, I'll say it in 30
Wow.
seconds. I met a company there, and you could program your own SLM, right? And I'm not that technical,
Explain what an SLM is.
small language model. So just
Got
like
it.
you said, you go to their interface. You could pick a large language model, but you then upload your documents, and then it learns your own data, and it's something called kiosk mode. And if you ask it a question, it'll only query your data, so it doesn't go and give information to
Right.
OpenAI.
Right.
But you could also say, hey, query my own data, and if it doesn't learn from that, then go query a
Then
large
go.
language model. So I did that free. Now I was creating my own small language model on my data. It didn't cost me anything. I was creating that in real time in like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
That's what's going to happen, Greg, in my opinion. And I'll
I
be
agree.
quiet. Because ChatGPT raised awareness to natural language processing, and natural language processing has been around for a long time,
Yeah.
but they made it available to the consumer, and then all of a sudden everybody saw the possibilities, right? So if you could do it yourself and you don't have to go buy a huge data center and learn software, and you could start creating your own, then you could see the impact, right? I
Right.
asked it a question, it didn't know, then I fed it, then I asked it the same
And
question, and then it knew.
where would I get this SLM? I mean, is that something I can download? Do I have to pay for it?
Uh, I'll just
It
put it in
it
chat right here. Yeah.
it's a model, as far as I know, the way you were describing it. And Art, it's very similar to in OpenAI has the projects. They're called projects. All right. So it's a contained knowledge base, right? I can feed it my knowledge. It'll grow based on my conversations with it, and I can sequester my data that I give it to stay there,
Right.
and
But
it'll access my data first, but it
do I
already
make
exists.
do I make it mine? Does it sit on my PC?
Ah, good question. No,
Okay.
not yet, right? So when they say it's your data and it's sequestered and you have to choose that, it's a chick click mark. It's still somewhere else. Yeah, good point. But
Is it
it,
something you purchase or
I
projects,
I think this is the eventual goal. Right now, they're letting you just work in their sandbox, but
oh, got it.
you could say I want to run this all on my own premise, and you have to get license at them from them or get a
you
server
buy
from them,
it.
whatever.
Yeah.
You get it, and then you'll be able to make your own and then host your own. So that's where it's going. I don't these aren't commercially available applications yet,
Okay.
but that's
Yeah,
what I
but
anticipate.
what I'm talking about is it's an agent, all right, and a small language you could call it, but it is a project, and the deliverables to me are identical to what a small language man would be, right? To me, right now. Now, what's going on behind the curtain is totally different than what you're talking about. The technicality, the technical issues behind that, the powerhouse behind that is bigger, which I think is going to come with Chat GPT 5, and that's not that far away. So I think everything you're talking about is not it certainly isn't decades away. It's probably just around the corner. And I think when Grok comes out, you're going to have that ability to turn this local or cloud switch on and off. I don't even know what to call it, right? It's use my data only or go out and do it just like you described. And what I like about these things, and this is what is it they literally do quote unquote learn as you use them,
Mhm.
which and it's wild, right? I mean, I run into it all the time when I go, I can't believe that it just said what I thought what it just said, and it's based on something we had been discussing months ago.
And Greg, that's the important thing, right? We use these very technical terms like machine learning, and like you think as a normal just person, you think that's I got to learn machine learning, but the point is that's what it's doing, learning from your data, right? And then it's creating this knowledge base for you to use. So leave the technical stuff, but how we
Right.
use it in a business sense is the important thing, right? How dealers can understand that, my customers collecting all this data, how can they use it? And then you offer a service because you're already offering this service. Their scan count and their print count. So how can they use their own data? And these are ways they can come in if you've got a solution. Hey, I could put it in your rack. I could help you start like that link I sent you, Art.
Yep.
You could
That's
start learning to
interesting.
create. You could start creating your own SLM based on your content and then that's a service that's going to be very valuable. I'm telling you. So, and there's money to be made here.
That's true. Boy. Instead of selling copiers.
Well, you sell the copier too, because that's the sensor endpoint. I mean,
Sell the
Nobody needs
copier and
a-
then they get his subscription service for the data.
that's right. There you go.
Nobody wants a copier anymore.
Well, nobody copies anymore.
Ooh.
People still print and scan.
Oh, they still want a copier too. It's so funny.
Well,
Yeah, buy the copy.
with all those transactions this month, I'd say yes.
Yeah, they still want a copier. Sell it to them.
Yeah,
Don't
give
know.
give the clients what they want.
Absolutely. No, be with them when they evolve out of it, but you got to start there.
Yep. Hey, it's been another witching hour, right? We've come
Here we
to
go.
4:59. That talk track went very quickly. We appreciate Kevin Neal always coming on. He's a great communicator and gets into depth on a lot of topics that are interesting to our readers.
Mm-hmm.
Greg Walter drives the show and does a fantastic job.
Well, yeah. Who are the non-paying sponsors of this particular episode, do you think?
Everyone.
Well, we talked PFU. We talked,
Atria,
yes, Atreya,
Ricoh, Oki,
Ricoh, OpenAI. What
Toshiba
show did you
Tech.
go to, Kevin? But yeah,
It was the AI dev world. Yeah.
AI Dev World, AIS out of Vegas. No, yeah,
Yes.
Vegas. And who out of New York was it?
Atlantic tomorrow.
Atlantic. We talked
Yeah.
about Toshiba.
They need to be
Briefly.
sponsors. They need to be sponsors.
Yep.
I'll speak up for you guys. You guys always offer a great thing, and there's no better Valentine's Day than I'd like to spend with you guys.
How sweet.
Oh, Jesus.
You've got Greg in tears.
Yeah, you've got me all misty, dude. You're killing me. But I digress.
At least
All
his
right.
comments will be better this week than last week when we close the show.
Well, we'll be back next week, right, Art?
We will be back next week. Might be a little hairy for me because I'm leaving Atlantic City about 2 p.m. So it'll be a tight race to get here by 4 p.m. for the show.
Well,
But if I can leave early, I will leave early. But plan on having a show next week at 4 p.m. And we hope to have Ricoh PFU on the
Oh,
show
yeah.
for next week. Unfortunately, they had to cancel this week. So we're expecting a really good show next week. And Greg and I are prepared with a lot of questions to ask them. And hopefully they're going to ask us a lot of questions, right, Greg?
yeah, right. Absolutely. Ask us everything, anything, all things.
Absolutely. Hey, everyone. Thanks for watching the show. Please like, follow, and share. And we'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys.